Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another time-lapse video for you guys. It's of a painting that I started a real long time ago, last August actually, which is super embarrassing of course, but this is one of the first paintings I've seriously done with oil paint, and I was still getting used to the medium, and you need to let it dry, because oil takes a long time to dry. So there were a few times that I wanted to let it dry for a few days, and then I just completely forgot about it or got distracted by life, pretty much. So I thought it would be nice to share with you guys my experience with oil paint until now, what I like about it, what I don't like about it. I have worked with oil before when I was a teenager, but I didn't have a lot of money back then, and oil paint is expensive, and I hadn't really done a lot of research on it, so I had no idea about any of the mediums or like the fat over lean rule. I had absolute no idea. But thankfully there's YouTube and a lot of YouTubers that explain exactly how you should oil paint pretty much. And I thought I would try it out because I really like the way oil paint looks. I kind of think the colors come alive. And in a way I feel like oil paint is superior, but I know that's not true, but somehow I just kind of feel like that's what like the old masters did, so that is the way to paint. But both mediums definitely have their own pros and cons. And it really depends on your preferences as an artist. For example, for me, I like to paint intuitively sometimes, and I like taking risks. Sometimes I just like to add a random splash of color and, just to see how it turns out. And sometimes it's great, or sometimes I don't like it, and then because acrylic dries so fast, I can just wipe it off real fast. With oil, you can't really do that because, if you've been building up a part of the painting all day and you make a mistake and you want to wipe it away, you pretty much wipe away everything you did in that session. And I also like to add color washes, like all over the painting, and you can do that with oil and it becomes really beautiful if you do it with oil, but you have to wait until it dries before you can add anything on top of it. So for the type of work I do, I really need to plan out an oil painting a lot more than an acrylic painting. And I'm still trying to figure out what the best way to plan is for me. And as you can see here, this painting I'm working on right now, I'm just like recreating a photograph. It's a photograph that I took myself of some things that I own, and I'm pretty much just trying to like copy it exactly onto the canvas, and it doesn't really take a lot of creativity to do that. Like, you just literally need to copy exactly what you see, so you don't really need to plan very well with that. But that's when we're talking about realism, of course. And with my illustrative work, I kind of like to figure out the colors along the way. And that's really hard with oil, and you lose a lot of time like waiting for it to dry to try out new things, while with acrylic paint I just get my trusty hairdryer, make sure it's dry, and just go over it again. It must really sound like I hate oil paint, but I'm still just really getting used to it. So hopefully the more I use oil paint, the better I'll get at it, and hopefully I'll get more confident with it and, try to take more risks. And there really are a lot of things about oil paint that I really like that acrylic paint simply doesn't have. For example, the way you can mix the paint on the canvas so that you can create like very beautiful gradients. And like I mentioned before, the colors just seem so much more vibrant and so much more alive. I kind of feel like with acrylic paint, once it dries, it seems like really flat and dead. And once I figured out that you also have like quick dry mediums, that really speeds up the drying process with like days, maybe even weeks. Right now I'm using the quick drying medium Galkit Light by Gamblin, and I really like it. It makes sure the paint dries fast, not too fast, but if you let it dry overnight, pretty much you can work over it the next day. I believe these Galkit mediums are made out of resin, so if you only use the medium, you really don't need to abide to the fat over lean rule. For you guys who aren't familiar with the fat over lean rule, basically all paintings are built up in layers. Like, you'll have your layer you start with, and then you keep adding more and more paint. Now with oil paint, you can use the paint out of the tube just like that on the canvas, but a lot of people do add different types of medium to the paint. Depending on what you want the drying time to be or how you want the paint to flow. Some people like how the oil paint gives texture. Now these mediums are usually a combination between like paint thinners or different types of oils that you mix with the paint. Now of course paint thinner will dry faster than anything that you will mix with an oil. So with oil paint it's very important that you place the fast drying layers at the bottom of the painting and then build it up to like oilier and oilier, otherwise the painting will crack. Now my understanding with using a Galkid resin medium is that you can kind of forget the whole fat over lean rule. And that of course makes the whole thing easier because you really don't need to plan out as much. Well, even though I like using these mediums, I do end up using like a very thinned out paint with paint thinner on the bottom layers because it'll be more transparent, and usually I want to work like for longer periods of time during the beginning stages. And it's just easier for me to build up my paintings with transparent layers because then you have a little bit of room for error. And you know, when you're working with thick layers of paint and it will take a long time to dry, it's harder to fix mistakes. But like I said before, I'm still just trying to figure it out, and I've been trying some other methods as well. For example, I've been working on a painting where I've built up the values of the illustration with like burnt umber acrylic paint. I've seen a lot of like good oil paint artists on YouTube do that. Like you will just build up the illustration first and get all the values correct, and then you go over it with oil paint so that you already have the values in there. And then you just go over the base painting with light color washes, and that way your paint isn't really moving around as much, because oil paint, because it takes so long to dry, it really moves around. Which can be really annoying when you're working with like fine details. I'm not really sure if I really like that way of working with oil paint, but it is a lot more structured, and I think I really do need to start adding more structure to how I build up my paintings. I just think it'll save a lot of time in the long run and, you know, not cause me to get frustrated with a painting and then leave it for a few months before I pick it up again. But I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I feel like that's exactly what my paintings needed. Like, just leave it for a while, walk by it like a million times, and then be like, oh, you know what would be nice for this painting? Maybe this and this. I know that sometimes when I work on a painting for long periods of time, like straight after one another, you're not really seeing the full picture and you don't see obvious mistakes sometimes, because your nose is like literally inches away from the canvas for hours. So that is another thing I really like about working with oil. Because of the drying time, it really does force you to take a step back and really look at the painting and let it sink in and, you know, look at it objectively, have someone else look at it. And I'm really fortunate to live with a partner who's an artist as well, and he paints as well, and, you know, he's a real great help and he gives great advice. But all in all, I'm really excited to be using this medium, and I can't wait to get better at it, and I'm definitely planning on future paintings to be more with oil. I just do think they look a lot better. They're so much more alive, but you know, it does take more time. And you can probably tell that it takes a lot more time because now my hair is red in the video. I'll try to speed up my painting process, guys, I promise. I still have a painting laying around of Sansa from Game of Thrones. That was actually the first painting I started when I decided to pick up oil paint again, and that one's still not finished. So I definitely need to get cracking on that one. I kind of regret that I didn't film that process because that one is turning out really nice. But I really like sharing my process with you guys, and I'm really thankful for all the support I've been getting. So if there's anything you guys would like to see or other things you would like me to talk about, please let me know. And here's the finished painting. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and you didn't mind me blabbering on about everything again. But you know, I like making these videos. So I'd really like to hear your guys' feedback. If you liked it, please press the like button and comment just to let me know what you thought. And if you would like to see more of these paint through talkie videos, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye!